the majority of people there are not like that. You're always going to find some crazy people who want to.
But wait a second. I mean, every Arab country, every single one has separate rights for Muslims and non-Muslims. In every single Christian majority country I'm aware of, religious pluralism is the law. So there's a massive difference in outlook. A lot of Muslims seem to see Islam not just as a religion, but as a political system. I mean, that seems real to me. Why deny that?
Well, you know, you're talking about religious versus cultural attitudes. And in a lot of those countries, they are cultural attitudes. If you read the Quran specifically says that you must tolerate. There is no compulsion in religion. The second chapter of the Quran specifically says that, and specifically enshrines the rights of other people for their religious practice, especially people of the book.
So you often hear people say, well, Sharia is intolerant, women are treated badly, gays are treated badly, and then you hear people say, no, actually, it's an early form of feminism and women are empowered. But then if you look at it, actually women have, in the Quran, fewer rights than men do. And that just seems incompatible with attitudes in the West right now.
Well, but think about it. What were the attitudes in the West when the Quran was first revealed? Women didn't have any rights in the West. But in Islam, women had specific rights. They had the right to own property. They had the right to inherit property. They had the right to testify in courts. Those rights didn't come in the West until the 20th century.
I think that's all true. But we're in the 21st century.
I know.
And things are very different now.
Yeah.
And so you still, for example, in countries governed by Sharia, see things like female testimony being less valuable than male testimony. Inheritance rights are different for daughters than they are for sons. Men and women are not treated equally under Sharia right now. So why is that not a problem if we're trying to assimilate a lot of Muslims into this country?
So the gentleman goes on to explain, which I thought was very interesting. When the Quran was first revealed, he said that the attitude in the West, women had no work rights. And it wasn't until the 20th century that women were given work rights. But in the Quran, women had the rights before the women in the West did to own property, to inherit property, and list out, you know, a bunch of other things. And Tucker agreed with him, like, yeah, that's correct. But then Tucker says, but we're not in the 20th century, we're in the 21st century, and things are different now. And he says, for instance, in countries governed by Syria, that female testimonies are less valuable than men who testify. And then they go into that discussion there. It just blows my mind that at any time in this world that they would ever feel men should have more rights than women, and women should be less valued than men. I mean, that is just so ridiculous. We definitely have come a long way since then, but we still have more to work on, especially with a lot of stuff going on now. But to think back that women didn't even have the right in the West to own property, inherit property, and that if they testify in court that, you know, they're less valued, that's just ridiculous to even hear that even went on.